All right, so let's dive right into this topic that seems like it's always on everyone's mind.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Sugar. We've got a ton of research here about how much sugar is too much sugar.
Right.
And trust me, you might be surprised at what we find out here.
I think so. Yeah. We're going beyond just the simple message of like sugar is bad
Right.
to really understand how different types of sugar affect us,
Yeah.
what the actual recommended limits are,
Mm-hmm.
and how to make informed choices about sugar without feeling overwhelmed.
So it's like we're becoming sugar detectives today.
Exactly.
All right.
Turn on your magnifying glass.
I've got my magnifying glass, yeah.
Our first clue is a pretty startling statistic.
Okay.
The average American consumes a whopping 17 teaspoons of added sugar every day.
17 teaspoons.
Daily.
Wow.
That's way more than what's generally recommended.
More than a whole can of soda, right?
It is.
No wonder people are concerned about sugar intake these days.
It is concerning, and it's really crucial to clarify that we're talking about added sugars here.
Right.
Not the naturally occurring sugars that you find in fruits and dairy.
Right.
Those come packaged with fiber and other nutrients that make a big difference.
Yeah, so it's like comparing an apple to a candy bar.
Exactly.
They both have sugar,
Right.
but one's clearly a better choice.
For slice.
The one.
Now, you might be wondering,
Yeah.
what's the magic number that I should aim for?
Right.
Well, the dietary guidelines for Americans recommend limiting added sugar to no more than 10% of your daily calories.
Okay.
The American Heart Association goes a bit further,
Mm-hmm.
suggesting a max of 6%.
Okay, so for someone like me eating about 2,000 calories a day,
Yep.
that means sticking to 12 teaspoons of added sugar max.
Right.
Or even just 6 to 9, if
Yeah.
I'm following that AHA advice.
Exactly.
That's a pretty big difference.
It is, and those numbers might seem small
Yeah.
when you consider how much added sugar is actually in a lot of the everyday foods that we eat.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, when you're reading those nutrition labels, focus on the added sugars line,
Okay.
not just total sugars.
Gotcha.
That'll give you the real picture.
So this is where the detective work really comes in.
Yeah.
We've got to be label sleuths.
Uh-huh.
But before we start hunting for hidden sugars,
Right.
let's talk about why added sugar is considered the villain here.
Yeah.
What's the science behind it?
Well, when we eat complex carbs
Okay.
from whole foods like fruits and vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
the fiber helps them digest slowly.
Right.
So you're preventing those big dramatic blood sugar spikes.
Right, because fiber is like that friend who always slows you down when you're rushing into things.
Yeah, right.
You need that friend.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But added sugars, those are the simple carbs.
Okay.
They don't have that fiber chaperone.
Right.
They hit your bloodstream fast,
Yeah.
leading to that rapid rise in blood sugar.
Got it.
And this then triggers your pancreas to release a surge of insulin to bring that sugar level back down.
Okay, so it's like a roller coaster ride for our blood sugar levels. Up we go, then down we crash.
And those repeated spikes and crashes
Yeah.
can lead to insulin resistance over time,
Okay.
which is a key factor in developing type 2 diabetes.
So that's one way excess sugar can impact our health.
Yes.
But I know there's more to it.
Absolutely.
Like what?
Not only can that excess sugar contribute to weight gain,
Right.
but it's also been linked to a whole host of health problems.
Okay.
Some you might not expect.
Hey.
We're talking sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, even chronic pain.
Wow, I didn't realize the connection between sugar and those conditions.
Yeah,
That's pretty alarming.
it is.
Should we dive a bit deeper into some of those specific health effects?
Let's do it.
Okay.
First up, let's talk about dental caries or cavities.
Mm-hmm.
We often think of this as a childhood issue,
Yeah.
but added sugar is a major culprit in tooth decay for adults too.
Oh, really?
It's not just for kids.
Interesting.
Those sugars feed bacteria in your mouth,
Okay.
producing acids that erode tooth enamel.
So it's not just about brushing and flossing. It's
no.
also about what we're putting into our mouths.
Exactly.
And what about heart disease?
Yes.
I know that's a big concern for a lot of people.
It is a huge concern, and the American Heart Association's stricter sugar recommendation
All right.
is no coincidence.
Mhm.
Research has shown a link between added sugar intake and an increased risk of cardiovascular problems.
So those sneaky sugars are attacking our hearts too.
They are.
This is getting intense.
It is.
What about diabetes?
Yeah.
I know that's often linked to sugar intake as well.
Yeah, the relationship between added sugar and diabetes is complex.
Okay.
It's not a direct cause and effect.
Right.
But research does point to sugary drinks, in particular, increasing the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And this is where the unique metabolism of fructose comes into play.
Fructose, that's the sugar found in fruits, right?
It is.
But we said earlier that fruit was okay.
Good point, and that's because while fruits do contain fructose,
Mm-hmm.
they also contain fiber,
Right.
which slows down its absorption.
Okay.
The problem is when we consume large amounts of fructose from added sugars,
Mm-hmm.
especially in liquid form like sugary drinks.
Gotcha.
See, unlike glucose,
Okay.
which can be used by cells throughout the body,
Right.
fructose is metabolized primarily by the liver.
Okay, so the liver becomes overloaded with fructose.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, that overload can lead to fat accumulation in the liver,
Okay.
potentially contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is becoming increasingly common these days.
Wow.
And it's linked to other serious health problems.
So it's not just about empty calories.
No.
These different types of sugars are processed differently in our bodies.
Exactly.
And that has big implications for our health.
Big time.
I'm starting to see why this is such a complex issue.
Yeah.
So we've got these serious health concerns.
Wait,
But where is all this added sugar hiding?
that's the question.
I'm ready to put on my detective hat.
I think you'll be surprised. You might assume that candy and desserts are the biggest offenders.
Right.
But in reality, beverages are the primary source of added sugar for Americans.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Beverages are the top source,
Ah,
more than all the sweet treats combined?
that's right.
Wow.
They're often packed with added sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and we tend to consume them in large quantities without even realizing it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But beverages are just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
Added sugar lurks in many unexpected places.
Like
Think sandwiches, for example.
sandwiches. You're kidding, right?
And not.
What's so sugary about a sandwich?
Well, sugar is often added to bread as a preservative.
Oh, okay.
And those condiments,
Yeah.
ketchup, BBQ sauce, even salad dressings,
Right.
they can be loaded with added sugar.
Wow.
Then there's breakfast cereals, granola bars, yogurt. It's everywhere.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see how those 17 teaspoons add up so quickly.
It's a lot.
It's like a sugar conspiracy.
Right.
I remember being shocked to discover that a single serving of vanilla Greek yogurt,
Yeah.
which I thought was a healthy choice,
Right.
could have 9 grams of added sugar.
It's a lot.
I felt totally betrayed.
It's a classic example of how added sugar can sneak in to seemingly healthy foods.
It really is.
It's all about reading those labels carefully,
Right.
becoming aware of those hidden sources.
Absolutely. So we've uncovered the dangers of added sugar.
Uh-huh.
We've started to expose those sneaky culprits.
Yeah.
But now what? How can we actually start cutting back without feeling like we're missing out on all the good stuff?
Well, that's the key question, isn't it?
It is.
How can we make sustainable changes without feeling deprived?
Yeah.
The good news is it's not about eliminating all sugar from your life.
Okay.
It's about making informed choices
Right.
and rediscovering the natural sweetness of real food.
That sounds much more doable than going cold turkey on sugar.
Right.
But how do we actually make those informed choices?
Yeah.
What are some practical strategies?
One simple step is to start becoming more aware of your current sugar intake.
Okay.
Track it for a few days, see where those teaspoons are adding up.
Mm-hmm.
You might be surprised.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know I tend to underestimate how much sugar I'm actually consuming.
Yeah.
It's easy to overlook those hidden sources.
Exactly. And once you have a better sense of your baseline,
Right.
you can start making small,
Mm-hmm.
gradual changes.
Okay.
For example, if you're a coffee or tea drinker,
Yeah.
try gradually reducing the amount of sweetener you use.
I am definitely guilty of having a sweet tooth when it comes to my morning coffee.
Yeah.
Do you think artificial sweeteners are a good alternative?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
While artificial sweeteners may seem like a quick fix,
Right.
some studies suggest that they can actually increase sugar cravings
Oh, really?
and potentially disrupt the gut microbiome.
Interesting.
More research is needed,
Yeah.
but it's something to consider.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
So it's back to good old-fashioned moderation then.
Exactly. And focusing on healthier beverage choices throughout the day,
Okay.
water should always be your go-to.
Right.
But unsweetened tea, milk, or even sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or lime
Mm-hmm.
can be refreshing alternatives.
Those are good options.
Yeah.
But what about those late-night sugar cravings?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I just feel like I need something sweet after dinner.
I hear it. Those cravings are tough.
They are.
One helpful strategy is to make sure you're eating balanced meals throughout the day
Okay.
with plenty of protein, fiber, and healthy fats
Right.
that will help keep you feeling full and satisfied,
Yeah.
reducing the likelihood of those intense sugar cravings later on.
So it's all about setting ourselves up for success.
Yes.
By making smart choices throughout the day.
Exactly.
But let's be realistic. Sometimes we just want something sweet.
Right.
What are some healthier ways to satisfy that sweet tooth?
Instead of reaching for processed sugary snacks,
Hmm.
opt for whole fruits, a handful of nuts, or veggies with hummus.
Okay.
They provide natural sweetness,
Right.
along with a boost of nutrients.
Those are definitely better choices than a candy bar.
Way better.
And I know dark chocolate can be a good option too, right?
Oh,
For
for sure.
sure. In moderation, of course.
Yes, yeah.
Like 70% or higher.
Dark chocolate with a high cacao content, 70% or higher, is rich in antioxidants.
Yes.
And can be a satisfying treat.
Okay, those are some great tips.
Good.
But I know some people might be thinking,
Yeah.
this all sounds great.
Ah,
But what if I'm a baker?
right.
Or I just really enjoy cooking with sugar?
Sure.
Do we have to give up our favorite recipes entirely?
Not at all.
Okay.
Remember, it's all about finding a balance that works for you.
Right.
There are ways to adapt recipes
Mm-hmm.
to reduce added sugar without sacrificing flavor.
Okay. Like how?
For example, you can often substitute unsweetened applesauce or mashed banana for some of the sugar in baking.
That's a good trick. I've also heard you can experiment with spices,
Yes.
like cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger,
Uh-huh.
to add sweetness and depth of flavor.
Exactly. And don't forget about the power of fruit.
Right.
Adding berries, chopped apples, or even citrus zest to your recipes can provide natural sweetness
Yeah.
and a boost of flavor.
I'm starting to see that there are actually a lot of creative ways to enjoy sweetness without relying on added sugar.
For sure.
It's about shifting our mindset and rediscovering those natural sources of sweetness that our taste buds may have forgotten about.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's about retraining our palates to appreciate those subtle natural flavors
Mm-hmm.
that are often overshadowed by the intensity of added sugar.
Right.
And here's a game changer.
Okay.
Whenever possible, buy unsweetened products.
Unsweetened products like what?
Think plain yogurt, unsweetened almond milk, plain oatmeal,
Okay.
even unsweetened tomato sauce.
Gotcha.
That way, you have complete control over the amount and type of sweetness you're adding.
I like that. So we become the masters of our own sweetness destiny.
Yes.
Instead of relying on food manufacturers to dictate how much sugar we consume.
Exactly.
We take charge and create our own delicious, healthier versions.
Precisely. You can add a touch of honey or maple syrup if you like,
Right.
or experiment with fruit, spices, and other natural sweeteners.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
This has been so eye-opening.
Good.
I feel like I'm starting to see sugar in a whole new light.
That's great.
It's not just about avoiding the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's about embracing a more balanced and mindful approach to sweetness in all aspects of our lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where enjoyment and well-being meet.
I love that. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've explored the science behind sugar, uncovered those sneaky sources, and learned some practical strategies for cutting back.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I think it would be helpful to recap some of those key takeaways, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we learned that it's the added sugar we need to be mindful of,
Yes.
not the naturally occurring sugars found in whole foods,
Right.
like fruits and vegetables.
Like you said, those come with the fiber
Right.
and other nutrients that make a big difference in how our bodies process them.
And we've got those handy guidelines to help us stay within healthy limits.
Right.
About 12 teaspoons of added sugar per day, according to the dietary guidelines.
Yep.
Or even less, just 6 to 9 teaspoons if we're following the AHA's recommendations.
Exactly. It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
But remember, those added sugars can be sneaky.
They are.
Always check those labels
Right.
and be on the lookout for those hidden sources.
Yeah.
Like beverages,
Mm-hmm.
sandwiches,
Right.
and even seemingly healthy options like yogurt.
It's like we're playing sugar detective,
Yes.
constantly on the lookout for those sneaky sweeteners.
Exactly.
But instead of feeling overwhelmed or restricted,
we can use this knowledge to empower ourselves to make choices
absolutely
that support our health and well-being.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway is that it's not about perfection.
Okay.
It's about progress.
Yeah,
Small, sustainable changes over time can have a big impact.
I like that.
Maybe you swap out that sugary soda for a glass of water,
Right,
or choose a piece of fruit instead of that candy bar.
right.
Every little bit counts.
It's about focusing on those small wins
Yes.
and celebrating those positive changes.
exactly.
And it's not about depriving ourselves either.
Right.
We can still enjoy sweetness.
For sure.
It's just about being more mindful of where that sweetness is coming from
Uh-huh.
and choosing those natural sources whenever possible.
Exactly. And as you start to make these changes,
Yeah.
pay attention to how you feel.
Okay.
You might be surprised at how much better you feel when
Yeah.
you're not overloading on added sugar.
Right.
More energy,
Yeah.
better sleep,
Yeah.
maybe even fewer cravings. Those are some pretty great motivators.
They are.
It's amazing how those small tweaks can have such a ripple effect on our overall health.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of sugar,
Yes.
what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I would encourage everyone to keep exploring and experimenting.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to try new things, adapt recipes,
Mm-hmm.
and discover what works best for you.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach
Yeah.
when it comes to sugar.
Right.
It's about finding a balance
Mm-hmm.
that feels sustainable
Right.
and enjoyable in the long run.
I love that. So whether you're a seasoned sugar sleuth
Right.
or just starting to explore the world of mindful eating,
Uh-huh.
we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights
Whoops.
and inspiration to take with you on your journey.
Absolutely.
And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress,
Yes.
balance, and
Uh-huh.
enjoying those natural sources of sweetness
Yeah,
that make life a little bit sweeter.
I agree.